What's good, everyone? Big Baller here. I'm here to preview Baltimore's Week 1 matchup against the New York Jets. Before we delve into that matchup, let's do a quick recap of their offseason moves. First off, they lost Marquise Brown to the Arizona Cardinals. Second, they gained Mike Davis and Kenyon Drake in their backfield. And lastly, the last fantasy-relevant addition, they drafted tight end Isaiah Likely. Let's analyze real quick how each of those affect the team. Obviously, Marquise Brown will kind of hurt the receiving core a little bit. They don't really have that much depth behind Rashad Bateman, but in that offense, anything besides wide receiver 1 will not have much value anyway. So Rashad Bateman is borderline top 20 play every single week. And don't forget, Marquise Brown was wide receiver 11 when Lamar was healthy. So he does target his wide receiver 1. It's not impossible for Bateman to succeed this year. Mike Davis and Kenyon Drake make this backfield an absolute nightmare every single week. Even though Gus Edwards is out for 4 weeks on the pup list, this backfield is going to be a freaking nightmare every single week. J.K. Dobbins, first year back from ACL injury. He's never been a receiving back, nor has he really been that high volume of back anyways. In that offense, he just has not received that high volume. Lamar Jackson is a running back 1 for the Ravens, unfortunately. I really hope you avoided the entire Ravens backfield this year, because it'll be so hard to judge who takes the lead duties. Mike Davis might have some good values starting in the air, but he's really not that good of a back, so he'll easily be overtaken by someone else. Even though running backs have typically struggled their first year back from ACL injuries, any touches taken away from Mike Davis, he's just not going to be that valuable. Kenyon Drake, PPR specialist. Like I said, Dobbins has never been a receiving back, and Kenyon Drake there lowers his upside even more. So, J.K. Dobbins is the best option back there, but I'm not a fan. No receiving upside, low volume, coming back from ACL injury. I'm good. No thanks. Isaiah Likely, he's shown out in preseason, but obviously Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. So Likely he's not likely to have that much of an impact this year behind Mark Andrews. He is a good dynasty stash, but I don't really think this is a year for him. With Mark Andrews there, Likely will not have much of an impact. They lost Marquise Brown to the Cardinals, like I mentioned. Bateman, top 20 option every single week. It remains to be seen whether he can handle, cornerback 1 coverage. Because wide receiver 1 targets warrants wide receiver 1 coverage. So, he really knows that Bateman can handle that. But I think he'll get enough volume to be a pretty good option week in, week out. Like I said, Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. Although he did most of his damage without Lamar Jackson, he scored like 20-something points per game with Josh Johnson and Tyler Huntley taking over for Lamar Jackson last year. He's still one of the most talented tight ends in the game. So it's reasonable to expect over 10 points per game every single week, if not more. But don't expect more than 20, like he did to finish out last season without Lamar Jackson. Still a candidate for finish top 3, but Kelsey is solidly above him. Pitts could very easily finish above him as well, but Mark Andrews is very talented. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, very, very high rushing upside every single week, regardless of matchup. Say what you want, whether he's a good quarterback in real life or not, rushing upside is king in fantasy, because every rushing yard is 0.1 points per yard, and passing yards are something like 0.04 points per yard. So obviously, rushing quarterbacks will always have the edge over strictly passing quarterbacks. And even though Marquise Brown shipped off to Arizona will hurt a little bit, Lamar Jackson is just that dynamic with his legs. He presents top 7 upside week in, week out. So, week 1 matchup against the New York Jets. I mean, they're the Jets. Not really much to say there. They've never really been known for their strong defense. They do have a solid front 7, but, like I mentioned, Ravens running back core was not going to be all too valuable anyway. So, that's that. Rashad Bateman is a top 20 option this week against an exploitable Jets secondary. Lamar Jackson is, like I mentioned, top 7, top 5, what have you. Very high upside against an exploitable defense. And Mark Andrews, top 3 option as always. I think that's it. Alright, have fun starting your Ravens players this week. And so long, take care.